When we started the garden, it was just a good way to not only have the youth interact with the medicines, but also we get to learn about the different plants that our ancestors used to grow. Hi, my name is Harmony Shkakigan. I'm from Aquimikong. I live here in Ottawa in Algonquin Territory. My clan is Pike, and I'm also an Anishinaabe woman. We actually just wanted a place to do our garden. This garden wood park, they were so nice to actually offer us a 10-foot square garden. When they found out that we were growing medicines and it was a bunch of our Indigenous youth super excited, they eventually let us get a bigger plot for our Three Sister garden. And we just keep on growing our garden, so it's really cool. It's very rare though to see sage, and that's actually one of our most used medicines at A7G. It's one of our most requested medicines. So it's really cool that we actually are able to grow some here, even though they're not naturally. One of my favorite plants that we're growing here is wingash, which just means sweetgrass. That is also one of the 4 sacred medicines. It always reminds me of home. Whenever I'm with the sweetgrass, I always think of my dad and basically the 7 generations of my past. So when we braid the sweetgrass, the first strands of 7 strands of sweetgrass, it's actually to honor our 7 generations of the past. Then the second 7 strands is usually supposed to represent your present, so kind of where you are now, and reminding you of the 7 grandfather teachings. Then their next 7 bunches is for the 7 generations that are yet to come. So that's when I'm doing all this medicine harvesting, how our garden keeps growing, I think about all the future youth that are going to be with A7G. And not just next year, but for the next 7 generations, and how they're going to benefit as we continue to grow this garden.
My name is Gerald Zong. I come from Opipwan Napiwin Cree Nation. I am OG Cree, or Ojibwe and Cree. I started helping out with the garden last year. My grandmother actually had a little garden in her backyard, and she was a very had a green thumb, if you will, really good at growing different types of things. So we always had rhubarb, carrots, potatoes. She passed away in 2016. So when I went back, for her funeral, I got to see a place where I grew up. And it was one of those things I was you know what, I want a garden again. So we got abalone here as a shell we usually use for smudging. This one was gifted to me by my mom, and it's part of my little medicine bundle. So when I go anywhere with my medicine, I walk in a good way, hopefully to gain more knowledge, because a lot of it's been taken away from us through the history of Canada. I take care of these they're my grandparents, whenever I put them down gently, and when I take them with me, it just gives me that a really good understanding of where I came from and where I'm going.
My name is Annalyn Jones. I'm Ojibwe from Garden River First Nation. Grew up here in Ottawa, actually in the West End. One of the first big events that I helped out with from A7G back when I first started helping out was we had a big fall feast, and we probably fed about 200 people, and we were just cooking all day actually at the Bronson Center. Me and Gerald actually were cutting carrots for 2 hours, and our fingers were turning orange just to put them in all the dishes, and it felt really nice to be able to cook for people. I'm not a very good cook, but I tried my best, and we tried to include as much traditional Indigenous food, and that always makes people happy when they can have that food here in the city.
I love it. Oh my God, look at this guy.